Cool. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Thrive and Survive Research Hub. Before we start, if you're new to us, please click on the like and subscribe button so that you can hear from us every time we release a new episode. It really helps us to spread the message and to spread the content. And yeah, without further ado, I'm here with my co-host, Tineiwo Zenda. T, how are you doing today?
I'm very well, Alex. How you doing?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to do a little podcast before we start work this morning.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let
yeah.
you lead the questions today. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, from my side, obviously today I wanted us to speak about something a little bit more opinion based, leading up with the first question for you being, you know, values.
Hmm.
How important are values to you in your life and how do they shape your behavior and how you interact with others?
I think values are very important. Um, I think values are also something that you kind of discover for yourself along the way in life. So, you can learn from your parents. And if you're lucky enough to learn from your parents good values, that's the best. I learned a lot from my parents. And so I was very privileged in that sense. But your values is your internal compass. It's your conscience. It's your operating manual that helps you navigate life. And I think the reason why values are so important is because that's who you really are. Your values, they drive your decision making. So it's one thing to make the right choice when you have an audience around you and you have peer pressure. But the question is, what do you do when nobody's watching? And
Yeah,
that's who you really are. So for me personally, like if I had to talk about my values, one of the values that I have really held precious to me at this stage of my life was honesty and integrity. And I put it above a lot of things, because I feel like when I was younger, I was a bit of a people pleaser. So as a kid, sometimes to avoid getting in trouble, I would,
yeah,
tell little white lies because I thought
yeah,
I just didn't want anyone to be upset. So I was like, oh, it doesn't, if I just if it's not hurting them, so sure, why not? But then as I got older, I realized like if you if you don't speak the truth when it's inconvenient and it's a little lie, it just becomes a million times worse because it just builds and it builds and it builds and it builds, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and also, yeah, the trust. If you want to be trusted, you must be trustworthy.
yeah,
That's a thing that like clicked for me a couple of years ago, and it's a big deal to me that people trust me, and
yeah,
I find it's incredible. Like I can meet a person and within 20 minutes of meeting them, they'll tell me stuff that is so hectic in their lives. And I'm like, you don't even know me. But I guess it's just the energy that we have and the connection and the ability to be vulnerable.
mm, mm,
So
mm, mm,
that's
mm.
like one example for me about values. What about you?
Yeah, I think you basically summed it up almost the exact same way I would say it. I think you stand on the shoulders of the values you live by.
Hmm.
I think to a certain extent, your values even define who you are. I think it's forms part of the core foundation of your being,
Yeah.
how you relate to yourself and how you relate to others. So how I just like to look at it is that values are what help you discern between good and bad.
Hmm.
And obviously values are broken down into the different compartments of your life. So like I have my family values, I have my business values, I have my
Right.
corporate values, I
Right.
have my friendship values. And those values then set the core base of everything else I build on with regards to, how I live and how I treat people. So I think the values are extremely important to be conscious of because if you're not conscious of your values, then you're basically a paper flying in the air,
Mm.
right? Because it is then when your environment will really be able to dominate your decision making, and you then lose touch with the ability to discern between good and bad. So
100%.
yeah, for me, it's very important to obviously have values and also identify other people, that
Yeah,
have values that align with you because
yeah,
as much as you may know your own values, if your environment isn't conducive to your values, yes, you can resist it, but there comes a point in time where your environment becomes stronger than you. Um,
100%.
and in doing so, you then get lost.
Well said. That's very
Cool.
well said. Can I just
Yeah.
ask you, so what
Yeah.
at the different stages of your life, like you look at yourself as a younger man, you look at yourself as a young adult, and then you look at yourself as a father. And
Yeah.
during these different chapters, like what values stood out to you the most during those periods of your life?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd just like to start off by saying, obviously, when you're young, I think every man goes through the white lying stage when you're still a boy.
Okay,
I
I'm
think,
glad it's not just
I,
me.
yeah, I mean, I have a toddler, I say with my toddler, right? I think it's just something that's in you, right?
Yeah, and you had
Um,
strict parents as well, right? I mean, I had
extremely,
with strict
extremely,
parents, like
extremely.
you always.
I mean, my parents were so strict that I wasn't even allowed to sleep over at friends' houses, right? I slept
Ah,
at less than five friends over my whole high school career, which
wild.
is quite,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, no, you had
Um,
strict parents.
yeah, but yeah, for me, obviously, the values that I think were just part of my core being, maybe because of my upbringing and influence from my family, was treating everyone with respect and treating everyone the same,
Hmm.
irrespective of, you know, who they are or what they have. I
Yeah.
think that's just something that is transcendent throughout all three stages of my life. And that continues to get stronger as I get older. And I think that has allowed for me to build really intimate relationships with people from different backgrounds, different spheres, uh,
Yes.
different industries, different cultures. And I just think it's turned me into like a universal being, like
Yeah.
to the point I
Wow.
don't identify myself with a nationality or race. I identify myself as someone who's universal purely because of the value of respecting everyone and treating them the same. And yourself, what would you say is a value that's transcended throughout your whole life and that continues to get stronger as you get older?
It shouldn't, I suppose it shouldn't come as a surprise that that was one of my values as well. I mean, seeing as we're such good friends, but like my parents also always raised me, treat everyone with respect. And it reminds me of this um quote from a book. I can't remember which book it was. It might have been Harry Potter or maybe The Wheel of Time. But basically, they were saying you judge a man by how he treats the people below him, not how he treats his equals or his superiors, right?
Well
And
said.
I've always learned that from my parents, that humility. And that's why I say it's a privilege to grow up with parents that can teach you values like work ethic and discipline and humility. Um, And I think that's one of the arguments for having parents that are kind of stricter and that kind of guide you. Because even if you play outside the lines a little bit when you're a teenager, they still some of it sticks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
of course. Of course.
and if I look at my friends that I've had throughout my life, they've been made up of friends from different backgrounds, different races, different religions.
Yeah,
And the common thread along the line there was just respect and generally humble people. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, that
So
was
well said. And
that's a great value.
yeah, and I mean, one of my mentors always says to me, and these words always stick close to my heart. She says, you know, you are not better than anyone. No one is better than anyone
Mm,
in terms of the person that you are.
100%.
What makes you better than someone else is what you do,
Right.
not who you are.
Yeah.
Because when you speak of better, you speak of a metric,
Yes.
right? So you are better than someone at sprinting because you are faster at sprinting. But you're not
Right.
a better person. You're not better than the person. You're just a better sprinter,
That's a great
you
idea.
know?
Yeah.
And that's how I just like to look at it, right? To say if I remove the metrics that we measure in
Yeah.
life from myself, then it makes me realize that we are all equal. And in all of us being equal, how can I make sure that I can bring out the best in myself and the best in others?
That's a
And
great
that
way
leads
of
me,
looking at it. Sorry, I just want to add one thing before we jump to the next thing.
yeah,
Um, Yesterday I was listening to a podcast and shout out to Bester with his Breaking Barriers podcast. It's really great, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And the guy that he was speaking about was like a super high performer, like mad high performer, Forbes 30 under 30, jacked, all of those things. And a idea popped into my head where I said, the ego gets intimidated, but the soul gets inspired.
yeah,
When you remove that comparative of like, oh shit, this person's better than me because they're doing X, Y, Z, it's like, no, no, maybe they're doing a better behavior than you, but not
100%,
a better person than you. There's no
100%,
absolute value. And you can at
100%,
any moment do a better behavior. That's the definition of thrive and survive, basically.
100%,
Just making a better
100%,
choice, you know?
100%, 100%, 100%. I might have to cut this part out. My daughter just walked in here.
Oh, no,
Shiloh, out, out,
we
out,
don't
out,
have to
out.
cut it out.
I'm
For
coming,
the,
okay?
for the audience, my co-host has a lovely daughter named Shiloh. She's the best. She's the cutest.
Uh,
Just
she
saying.
just walked out. How
Shout
cute.
out.
Uh, but yeah, I mean that then leads me to my next question, obviously around, you know, uh, through obviously you having high values, obviously through your high values respecting everyone.
Yeah,
How do you then filter your environment, right? Because the thing with having respect for everyone is that you also don't necessarily judge. How do you kind of like control your environment by not obviously
yeah,
coming across as judgmental and just being cutthroat about the people you want in your life versus not? Because I think also uh just completely cutting someone out
yeah,
because they don't align with you
yeah,
uh in a cutthroat way uh is not respectful, you know. And I think that part of respect is a very important part to exercise
100%.
and in times when you're not
Yes.
agreeing with the morals, the values of the people around you.
This is a great point. So I have a bunch of things I'll say for this. Like the first thing is you're not going to find the people that you're meant to spend time with if you're spending time with people you're not meant to spend time with. And what I mean by that is like if you have a vision for your life and you have values that you want to live by, and these people are not conducive to that, well, you could have been spending time looking for the other group, the other peer group,
Yes,
or working on yourself. I would say boundaries is very important. So you can dictate how much of your life you share with a person. If
100%.
this person is a person that you love, but they're toxic for you, you don't have to be vulnerable with them. You can just hang out, play sport or something. Keep it surface level. You don't have to cut them out of your life completely unless they are like hostile.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
and this is something that I learned. I learned this like the hard way. Like, you can love someone from afar. So you can still care about them. You can still want good things for them, but
yeah,
maybe aren't a good match. You're not
100%.
good for each other. So
100%,
that's what I
100%,
say.
100%. Well, and I like how you said that, right? Because I think that goes to or alludes to the fact that, respect allows you to control the karmic energy you give out and that you give back.
Sure.
You know, I think like the point that you mentioned there about loving someone from afar or distancing yourself from someone whose values don't match yours, right? And I
100%.
think ultimately the nice thing about respect is that if you control the karmic energy, right? Even though like I'm going below the surface in terms of what we're discussing here, your ability to respect people just allows for you to harness good relationships even with those people you no longer speak to, and
Exactly.
also allows for you to kind of end relationships in a very peaceful way, whereby
Exactly.
there's no one who is extremely
Yes.
negative towards you or anything like that. It's almost just like walking away rather than saying you're a bad person and I don't want to associate with you. So I like
Exactly.
how you answered because I think it's very core. It's a very core component of respect. And I think how you associate with those you like is also just as important as how you disassociate with those you don't align with from a values perspective.
And also like time is a limited resource. There are people in your life who love you and who wish good on you and who are good for you, and they
Yeah,
deserve your time, you know?
yeah,
You deserve it. There's not enough
yeah,
time to give to everybody. So
yeah,
if you're gonna, you have to have a hierarchy of priorities in your life. If you're
yeah,
spending the same amount of time with the gym bro than you are with your wife or and your kids, your priorities are fucked, dude. Like that's
yeah,
not right.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I
100%,
mean? So
100%,
I
100%.
don't know why this shouldn't even be a controversial topic, but sometimes I feel like it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like for men in general, men tend to generally spend more time with, especially, I mean, I think that's something that we all see across all different cultures, right? Becomes a point where, you know, if you kind of wave to the left a bit, it's very easy to spend more time with friends than you do with your family. I mean, I can attest to that as a
Yeah,
as a father, right?
yeah,
But yeah, it goes back to values. When your values are intact and your
exactly.
environment is in alignment with your values, then your hierarchy is always the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, I
100%.
like how you spoke about that, and I think that's the truth as bold as it is.
Thanks, bro. Yeah. Um, one thing I want to touch on is which kind of filters into this, the importance of peer group, right?
Yeah,
And how to build an awesome one. So, as you are someone that has a hell of a peer group, you know, you connecting with people all the time. I'm
yeah.
curious, like, how deliberate is it? You know, is it a situation where you're just attracting people because you're just so freaking awesome, or is it
Trying,
like what is your
trying.
approach to it?
Yeah. So firstly, and I think you've heard me say this 100 times, right? I think one of the laws of attraction is to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in any environment I go into, I always try to be myself, and I think I can attest to the fact that every time I be myself, the universe gravitates me to someone or gravitates someone to me that aligns with my personality and my values. So I make a conscious effort into being myself in all social environments that I go into, not into actually trying to network or meet people.
Right.
And in through being myself, the universe then provides. There's sometimes where I am myself and no one gravitates to me, and I'm cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 100% with it. But the intention is never networking. The intention is being myself, my authentic self, and seeing what comes about that from a relationship perspective while I'm
Awesome.
myself. And yeah, I mean, I meet new people literally almost every month. But I think the nice thing about when you get older, all the people that you meet know that they're not your friends. You
Yeah.
know, it's sometimes just encounters of sharing wisdom and experience. Uh, uh, Sharing insights, and then you move on. But the nice thing about that is that you have a network.
Right.
So I'm building my network base through interactions whereby we exchange wisdom and insights.
100%.
And I think the more you develop this ability to develop a network on a non-emotional basis, I'm networking because I'm not trying to be your friend, but I'm
Mm.
just networking so we can share life experiences and try advance each other after this is for me the core intention of why I try to interact and network as much as possible. So yeah, that's my core philosophy of like meeting people, just the exchange of wisdom, like I do with you, right?
Yes.
And sometimes it naturally builds into a friendship, but it's never intentional. I think even the friends that you make, it's never intentional. You don't pick your friends, right? Your friends just happen to
100%.
be based on the fact that you guys got along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
And
I love
yourself?
it. It's always an
And
accident.
yourself?
Yeah, I also have an approach. I think networking is such a cringe term. I've never liked it, and I think it just comes across as very artificial and very like Machiavellian in nature. You know, the
Mm.
idea of like oh, there's something useful about this person, so I'm going to insert myself into their life with
Yeah,
the like premise of being a friend to them or something. I
yeah,
don't think that at
yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah,
Um, also authenticity, as we've discussed before, it's everything. Um, there are three things that I was thinking about which would help you build a
yeah,
peer group. The one is proximity. So you need to be in the right location because certain people go to certain places. The
yeah,
second is going first. So in the sense of being a leader in interactions, being willing to initiate, being willing to introduce yourself, not being passive. And like,
yeah,
I'm not saying, be calculated. I just mean take initiative.
100%,
And then the last
100%,
thing that I would say is become the type of person you'd want to be friends with. If you want to,
100%,
if you want a better
100,
peer group, be a better man. There's no other
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
So, because the thing
And I
is,
like,
uh, you
go
know,
ahead.
high performing people, the real ones can smell bullshit a mile away.
Yeah,
If you kind of presenting yourself as this like, you can't pretend to be jacked if you're not jacked.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
exactly,
You can't
100%,
pretend to be wealthy. Like you can try to pretend to be wealthy, but the real wealthy O's will see right away that you're not.
100%, 100%.
Same with these like business gurus and so
Yeah,
like guys on social media talking about how they made their millions.
yeah,
Dude, people can smell bullshit a mile away. They'll be like, no, this is not,
100%.
you made it quick. Oh, okay. No, no, no. This is not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And I like how you spoke about, firstly, like passiveness, right? And intentionality. Obviously not in networking, but in like being the person that you want to meet,
Exactly.
you know, because the other person on the receiving end feels it, you know, and that's what creates that authentic connection. And if it's not there, you lose nothing from it, right? But I
Exactly.
think there's great reward in being authentic. It's so satisfying to know that I was myself in that environment, and whether or not I met new people or got along with people, I was true to myself.
100.
I think that's one of the most liberating things about being in social environments, and something that I would highly, encourage that you try out, because I think if you try always to mold into your environment, you lose touch with your inner voice, you
Exactly.
know. Yes, there's culture, like the corporate environment, company culture and stuff like that. That's one thing, right? That's not necessarily you changing who you are. It's just following a set of rules that allow you to
Exactly.
integrate people. But
Exactly.
I think your strength is in just being yourself.
Well said.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
That's great.
And yeah, I just want to ask you one more question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
In your corporate career, what are some of the things that stood out with regards to relationship building at work? Because I see you still have really great friendships with some of the people that you worked with, both below and above you. You know, um, how did you manage to achieve such strong relationships so that now it's almost over a year since you left, right?
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
those are people that you still communicate with and have strong bonds with.
100%. You know what? I've spoken about this before, but when I started, I had a big chip on my shoulder. I wanted to be the best, and I viewed it as like a zero-sum game of like either I'm the best or I'm not. Like, and if you're performing better than me, that's not good. I want to be better than you. That was how I
Mm,
started off. Uh,
mm,
and then like a year in, I made a big mental switch where I was like, no, 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 no. Um, it's not about me because if I succeed but the team fails, I fail.
yeah.
And so it turned from being about me, oh, this is so cringe. It turned from being about me to being about we.
Yeah.
It sounds like
Yeah.
a corporate training thing, but it's true.
Yeah.
I just became all
Yeah.
about the team. That's all I cared about. It's sometimes to my own detriment, but I
Mm,
just thought sacrifice everything for the team. And
100%.
I loved it. I felt like it was a family. Um, Also credit to my partner that I worked under and my managers because they also created this family environment. But the connections were so deep, dude. And like I learned, I'm not sure if I'm still. thinking this is the best thing, but this was just how I was, that I I couldn't just keep it professional when it was a team thing, in the sense of
Yeah.
you're spending so much time with people, you're working 12 hours, 13 hours,
Yeah.
you're going through the war, the trenches, like it had to be more than that. I needed a reason, I needed a
Yeah.
purpose. And my purpose
100%.
was to serve the people and to care about them.
100%. 100%.
And yeah, the irony is when I stopped thinking about myself and I focused on the team, I became a high performer, you know.
Yeah. Wow. 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 And what I pick up from there is that, like the relationships that you create are not only about the core purpose of why you guys are together. So it wasn't just about the fact that you had a team and you had to supervise them. It was also about the fact that in order for you guys to become a team, a personal relationship needed to be formed. And I
100%.
think that's why when we speak about business, we speak about business relationships, right? The business is the foundation, but the relationship lays upon the business intent. And I think without that intimate touch, it's very hard to connect and to really take things to the next level
Exactly.
with the environment that you interact with.
And it's a balancing
And
act.
then,
It's a balancing act
yeah,
because you
100%.
you, you don't want to go too, like, people need to have friends outside of work. I know I shouldn't, it sounds obvious, but a lot of people don't because they make
Yeah,
work their whole lives. I've seen
yeah.
so many people where, and firms sometimes do this. I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but it sometimes feel this way where you're working and now you need to go to the social events at the working place. And now you
Mm,
go and do the community project at the working place.
yeah,
Now you
yeah,
spend 99% of your life there. You don't spend any time with your family. You don't spend any time with your friends. And
yeah,
so this becomes your whole life. And then when you
yeah,
leave that firm, nothing, zero,
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
left.
100%.
And that's not
100%.
healthy. That's not healthy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think you said that so well. Like the outside of work thing is very important, right? Because I think like the more you can get to learn and interact with people outside of work, the wiser you become, right? So like you spoke to me just now about like, my ability to like go out and connect and meet new people. And like the intention is just to go out and listen, right? To say, okay, I live in this little box of e-commerce.
Yep.
Like I'm coming to you, you specialize in accounting, you specialize in payments, you specialize in mining. Tell me what you do, tell me some of your life experiences. What can I take from you? And
100%.
after listening to you, ask me any questions because I'd love to give the wisdom from my side of the world.
Yeah.
Um, and through that, you become a more complete being, and your visors go from like this to like that.
100%.
Um, so yeah, so well said. Then I like the way you broke that down.
Beautiful. Thanks, bro. I mean, that's the beauty of a podcast as well. One of the things that I'm enjoying so much about this is the opportunity to speak to people from different walks of life. And
100%.
I almost feel like it's a cheat code. It's like a
Yeah,
hack. You know,
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, I
yeah,
don't want to tell too many people about it because I'm like, you don't
yeah,
understand. I'm learning so
yeah,
much. Even if this thing doesn't go anywhere, I'm just like selfishly enjoying it. It's like building a peer group of
yeah.
people that you just wouldn't get into contact with in ordinary life. But because of the
100%.
podcast, you have the opportunity to do that. It's wonderful.
100%. And also, if you look at it I look at it as a new way of journaling, right? Because I used to journal a
100.
lot, but I don't have the time to do it as much.
Yeah.
So this is a journal. And then number two, every time we chat or even with guests or whatever, I feel like I prepared a new book.
Yes. Is.
So it's definitely like a cheat code, right? Because it's the addition of knowledge that you would not have access to
Yeah.
um, for a budget of 40 minutes of your life just to interact and hear wisdom from other people. So,
Say it.
so well said. And yeah, it's been a lovely episode. And
Let's wrap it
yeah,
up.
thanks for your time and wisdom as always, Alex.
It's a pleasure, man. This is the best. I love this. This is like the best way to start a day for me, honestly. Having a conversation like this, good cup of coffee.
Yeah.
To the audience, I'm just gonna say it again. If this is your first time, or even if it's not your first time, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like and comment. It helps us to grow our channel. It helps us to get better guests for you guys and for us, obviously. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to us. We hope that you got something out of this. And yeah, have a great day. And until we speak again. Thanks.
Cool. Cheers.